This was the scene in downtown Vassar today. We took a tour with Mike Deeb, who's president of the Downtown Development Authority.
You just were dumbstruck, you know, when you saw water up to the top of display windows in stores where you knew that they'd be wiped out. I mean, you knew that they would have to probably pitch $100,000 of inventory and so forth.
And that was just the case inside Streeter's Pharmacy, where cleanup was in full swing.
Do you have any paper towels, window washer?
Teresa Streeter has owned the pharmacy at the bottom of the hill for 24 years, but this flood was just too much.
We're going to evacuate this area, and we're going up where it's dry, on the hill.
Atkins Hardware Store has been at the bottom of the hill in Vassar for over 100 years. Now, they've had flooding before, but never like this. But they plan to stay right here.
Across the street at Dancer's clothing store, the devastation was widespread. Prisoners from the nearby Tuscola prison camp help with the cleanup. Mark Hurst bought this store a year ago. But will he open again?
I'm not sure. We're going to be talking to the government supposedly this afternoon, and if they can come through with some things, we're going to try.
And the Downtown Development Authority is going to try to find a way to stop flooding so this never happens again in this little town. Jill Wellington, News 5 in Vassar. This swarm of white feathers will wind up as a huge heap of white meat in less than a week. They're alive today, but
be slaughtered Monday.
And people can pick them up on Tuesday. You can't get much fresher than that in a Thanksgiving turkey.
Flavor of the meat's a lot juicier, and the taste is a lot better than a frozen one.
Oh, look, he's opening his mouth.
These preschoolers were at the turkey farm today, taking a look at what turkeys are.
Some are big and some are small.
The small ones weigh about 20 pounds, usually the females. The males can weigh up to 37 pounds.
What do they eat?
They make corn.
They're not force-fed like a lot of growth hormones or anything like that. They're just straight corn and soybean meal. I don't think he'll eat off there.
What do turkeys do?
Gobble.
Can you gobble?
Go, go, go. Gobble, gobble, go.
That's good.
And 3-year-old Kyle Varner knows just how to get a turkey to gobble.
Russ likes to raise the white turkeys because their feathers are easier to pluck. But the meat quality is the same as the darker turkeys.
When they fluff up their feathers and strut around, they turn real blue around their eyes, and this down here turns real dark red.
That's the way the male turkeys can get a little attention. And I can't help but ask this, are turkeys really stupid?
They can be pretty clumsy. I don't know if they're really stupid. I don't think they stay out in the rain and drown themselves.
But nothing can save them this Monday. I'm Jill Wellington for Take 5.
This is at Detroit, right, Mom?
Mm-hmm. A rock concert like this is one of the last places you'd expect to find May Sonnefeld, but she was singing and swaying right along with the crowd. That's because her grandson is the drummer for Hootie and the Blowfish. May remembers Jim Sonnefeld as a little boy growing up in Lansing and then Chicago. He had 3 brothers and a little sister. She could tell even back then that Jim would make a great drummer.
He was always tapping on his knees or legs, or if he was at a table, he'd be pounding the table and like it was a drum.
May says that Jim met his fellow band members in college, and it took 10 long years for Hootie and the Blowfish to make it big. Jim's Aunt Bernadette gets a kick out of her famous nephew.
The people at work kid me about being the aunt of Hootie and want to know, who's Hootie?
Actually, there is no Hootie in the band.
Hootie and the Blowfish were named after 2 friends of Darius's who he played with early on. And so he just picked up the name from his friends and ended up being a real catchy name, who I think Letterman was probably pretty responsible for. It reminds me somewhat of a little bit of Rod Stewart and a little bit of Springsteen, because I'm from that era.
He's still the same sweet Jim. And he's a lover. I mean, he just hugs and kisses you. When I saw him in Detroit, He come up, that State Theater was full of people, and he just came up and hugged and kissed me like, you know, just genuine person.
May will continue to rock along with Jim's stardom. I'm Jill Wellington for Take 5. Krizak's in Bay City is known for its bountiful buffets, laden with goodies of all kinds. But Krizak's chicken noodle soup is so popular, the restaurant has to make 120 gallons a day. What makes it so good? The homemade noodles.
They're thick, they're rich, and they're just like what Mother used to make.
Krizak's has an entire room just for making noodles. The thick, homemade taste is so popular, they're now sold all over Michigan and in 5 other states.
By accident, we got the right blend and worked with it for quite a while, and now it come out perfect. It's a perfect noodle.
Krizak's used to make about 300 pounds of noodles a day with an older, smaller machine.
We bought these machines from Italy about 4 years ago, and we had them air freighted here.
Now they're making more than 2,000 pounds every day. But how do they make them so good?
A lot of flour, a lot of love, a lot of care, and there's definitely a secret here because this is all family tradition. And if we did tell it, Don would lose millions.
And if you've never seen it, this is it, thick with lots of noodles. Now let me taste it. It truly is the best in town. I'm Jill Wellington for Take 5.
The WSAM KCQ raft race is a people attractor. Girls watching guys, guys watching girls, girls in beer cans. But the main attraction today were the rafts. Anything that floats is fair game, and participants had many explanations why theirs would float.
We made it so it's airproof. Wood floats.
When you put a barrel in the water, it has air inside because these are sealed barrels all the way around. So we cut a hole in the top so we can get our hand in, put a bolt on there, and hold it together.
And lo and behold, those barrels worked. And so did this floating car. And so did this. Now, the theme for this year was Made in America. Just about everything was patriotic. Red, white, and blue, and flags were popular. Some people didn't really get into that theme, though. In fact, they didn't finish making their raft until right before race time.
No problem at all. Every year we come in with a last-minute raft. We always put it together the night before, and we construct it on site. It's kind of an on-location, made-in-USA raft. So
and we always work better under pressure, so
we are pressure people, that's right.
I think that we'll be ready in time.
All this riffraff started about 11 years ago with just the raft race. Now it's turned into an entire community event.
The rafts landed on Ojibwe Island where the fun continued with gymnastics presentations, men showing their muscle, others showing their muscle. Remember, summer's just begun. Jill Wellington, News 5 in Saginaw.